Today for dinner we are having rabbit. This is a recipe that is inspired by a meal that I had while I was visiting Rome, Italy. So the story goes that I basically visited a small section of the city that's very famous actually, called Trastevere. And if you've never been there, you should go there. It's like the picture perfect Italian setting. It's what you would imagine if you think of in movies. So we ventured out to this area of Rome and found a little restaurant that didn't really feel like a restaurant. It felt like a grandmother opened up her basement and cooked for a lot of people. And when I say a lot, it was more like 20. It was very small setting, very intimate. And the food was absolutely incredible. It was like grandmother's cooking. It was extremely homey feeling, and it was amazing. So we had rabbit, and the rabbit was incredible. So of course I asked the grandmother for her recipe, and she said absolutely not, which I don't blame her. But she did tell me a few of the ingredients, but didn't tell me how to cook it. So when I got back, I kind of pieced together this recipe, which I call Italian style braised rabbit, or hunter's rabbit, because you know, it just sounds cooler. So this is really a really tasty meal, and you're going to love it. If you're squeamish about rabbit, don't eat it. But if you're okay with it, rabbit is actually incredibly delicious. And if you're a vegetarian, I really don't want to hear about it. But if you're not, this recipe's for you. Now, let's go over some of the ingredients. Well, all the ingredients. You're gonna have your rabbit. This is rabbit that I bought yesterday, and I have butchered. So you have rabbit. You have cremini and portobello mushrooms, as well as porcini mushrooms. Onion. Garlic. I'm using elephant garlic. It's local here, but you can use whatever garlic you find. Just avoid the fermented garlic, but any kind of garlic you find is great. Have leeks. They just add a lot of flavor. Flour for dusting the rabbit pieces. Red pepper flakes. Rosemary. Thyme. Chicken stock, just a cup, and wine. I use red wine, you can use white wine. Basically, I have some red wine open and I'm planning to drink it, so I'm going to use the same wine that I'm drinking for cooking. Tomatoes, I'm using canned tomatoes again because they're easier, and but you can use fresh. These actually came with basil and some other spices in them, so that's kind of nice. And of course, potatoes, that'll be your side. It all cooks in one pot. So let's get to work. I'm going to show you how to make this delicious meal. So first we're going to season the rabbit meat with salt and pepper. So just be very generous. It helps to keep the meat from drying out. So just season it with salt first. And then we'll add some pepper. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to lightly flour our rabbit meat. The easiest way to do that is with a Ziploc bag. So you just add a little flour just to get you started. When I say light, I mean like light. You don't want to put so much flour in there that it's like you're making fried chicken, because you're not. And then you just add the rabbit pieces to the bag. And then we will add a little more flour to the top of the bag, to the top of the rabbit. And once we've gotten, I've already measured this flour out. Once we've gotten the flour into the bag, we'll just shake it. Shake it around just so it's covered. And bada bing. Your rabbit is now lightly floured. Alright, the next step is we're going to take our olive oil and we're going to pour it into either a very heavy, large pan or a Dutch oven. I'm using a Dutch oven. At least I think this is a Dutch oven. But anyway, this is what I'm using. So you'll want that to get hot. I've been heating my pan so the oil is pretty hot as it is. And then we'll add the rabbit pieces to the oil and allow it to brown on each side. And if your pot's not big enough, just do it in batches. And that's probably what I'm gonna have to do. So allow it to brown on each side. And then once it's browned, we're gonna transfer the rabbit meat to a plate for it to drain and then start preparing our other ingredients. Okay, so we've got our rabbit browned on both sides and it's draining now. Next, we're gonna put our onions into the pan. You can change out the oil if you'd like. I choose not to because the oil now has that rabbit flavoring kind of infused into it, and the leftover flour will just help to thicken up the sauce. So I wouldn't change the oil. It'll just add better flavoring. But you can if you want to. If you do, just drain this oil, the old oil, and add another ½ cup of olive oil. Now you'll want to saute these onions until they're soft for about 5 minutes. The onions have softened and they've even gotten a little bit of a brown tint to them from using the same oil that I fried the rabbit in, which is just going to be flavorful. Now I'm going to add leeks to the mix. All those leeks. The leeks just give it a nice subtle flavor, a more earthy flavor. Alright, so we're going to add it in, stir it to kind of separate those leeks out, and they'll naturally separate out on their own as they cook. So add that in. We're going to add our mushrooms, our portobello and cremini mushrooms. So add those into the mixture. And we're going to add in our porcini mushrooms. You put a lot fewer of these in than you do the others because porcinis have a very strong flavor and it can be very overwhelming. It adds a woody flavor to the mix. So we're going to stir that up and raise the temperature to get this baby cooking. And then at the same time we're going to add 2 tablespoons of rosemary. Just use dried rosemary. Fresh rosemary has a stronger flavor, but dried is perfectly fine. And we're going to add 1 tablespoon of tarragon to the mix. And that gives it a bit of a sweet, licoricey undertone. And lastly, once we stir it up, the last thing we're going to add to this current mix is a little pinch of red pepper flakes. And I do mean a pinch. So just drop it in like it's hot and stir it up. Now just add a little bit of a smoky flavor to this situation. Now we're going to let that sit and kind of reduce down. And once it does, we'll move on to the next step. As you can see, our mushrooms, our leeks, our onions, our garlic, and the spices have all come together and have reduced quite a bit. You should smell this. It smells absolutely incredible. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our tomatoes. So I stupidly put them in a mason jar, but we're going to add the tomatoes, and that, of course, helps start making the sauce. So you can come over here and get a little bit closer. So our tomatoes, stir it up, right? Stir that baby up. And that's just going to make it a bit saucier. And then we're going to add a ½ cup of red wine. I always say that you should not cook with wine that you won't drink. I drink this. So I'm going to cook with it. But cooking wine, I'm a big fan of not using that because it's not drinkable. Why would you want it in your food? So pour the wine in, and that's going to make a little sauce. Just stir it up. Now you're going to heat that up and let it reduce down for about 2 to 3 minutes. So the next step is we're going to add 1 cup of chicken stock. You can use chicken stock. You could use rabbit stock if you make it yourself. I wasn't doing that. And you could also use a little beef stock or mushroom stock. Whatever type of stock you want to use, it's fine. But 1 cup of it. Mix it up. Bring it to a simmer. And then we're going to add the rabbit pieces back in. We have our cooked rabbit. We're going to be adding it back into the pot. Just kind of space it out. And it is going to cook until it's tender. And that's about an hour. So I'm just gonna add all this back in. I told you this is gonna be a real cooking show. Oh, so you can do it for 90 minutes to an hour, depending on how much rabbit you're trying to cook. You're basically making a type of stew. It's not really a stew. It's just, yeah. So then we're gonna add the potatoes in as well. Just put them in there, and they'll cook on top. Just made a mess. They'll cook on top, and once you've done that, you cover it up. Turn the heat down to medium low to low, and let it cook for an hour. And then you enjoy it.